As Israel's military offensive continues in Gaza, the violence by Israeli troops in West Bank has also seen an uptick. At least 5 Palestinians have been killed during Israeli military raid in West Bank city of Tulkarem, with one said to be injured. Reports suggest the Israeli raid in West Bank city of Tulkarem was carried out in the Nur Shams refugee camp. The Israeli military went into the camp late on Thursday night in an hours-long operation that stretched into Friday. Local sources and eyewitnesses reported clashes between the Israeli army and Palestinian gunmen, along with the sound of explosions caused by explosive devices. While earlier in the day, bulldozers were seen moving on roads and causing damages to the road surfaces and pavements. According to reports, ambulances were still barred from reaching the raid scenes to provide medical help to those in need.
This is the first raid in which we have been prevented from entering the camp from the beginning of the raid until now. We have volunteer medical teams inside the Nur Shams camp, and among them, some young men were injured, including a young man who was going to deal with one of the martyrs. He was shot and wounded in the foot, resulting in many bone fractures.
What
happened is that we were informed that there are several casualties in the camp during the raid. But the Israeli army prevented us from entering. But we took the risk and headed there to evacuate a colleague of ours who was injured in the leg and has an open fracture. We tried to approach it, but they prevented us and searched the ambulances and asked us to return.
The latest skirmish is just one of the incidents that has taken place in the recent past. The West Bank, which Israel has occupied since 1967, has seen a surge in violence in the past year, particularly since Israel's war on Gaza erupted in October. On the other hand, the US and EU have imposed more sanctions on Israeli settlers engaged in violence against Palestinians in the West Bank. The European Union has announced new sanctions against 4 Israeli settlers, and this includes 2 listed entities. In a statement, the EU Council listed sanctions on Lehava, a radical right-wing Jewish supremacist group, and Hilltop Youth. Then sanctions were also imposed on 2 leading figures of Hilltop Youth. Separately, Israel's longtime ally, the US, has said it was adding Ben-Zion Gopstein, the founder and leader of Lehava, to its own blacklist. Washington has also imposed sanctions on 2 groups involved in raising tens of thousands of dollars for settlers, Yonon Levy and David Chai Chasdai, who were targeted in its earlier sanctions. And previously, the US has sanctioned 5 settlers and 2 unauthorized outposts in the West Bank in 2 rounds of sanctions.